Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. It's Friday. Welcome to the dev update for the Speedrun Relic. I'm with Fro today.
Yeah,
Fro, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Doing good? So, for those who don't know, Fro is our technical director. So he's mainly in charge of all things DevOps, like making sure our computers work, that we have proper servers to check in our work and everything. Obviously he's also a coder. And Fro, you personally worked on the speedrunning Relic.
Yeah.
So today we're going to do sort of a walkthrough of the new functionalities, like how it will work, how you interface with it in the game. And so as we go, feel free to ask any specific questions. And we'll go through them. I have the high-level understanding of what it does, but speedrunning is very intricate and deliberate in the finer details. Fro is not only a coder, but also a speedrunning enthusiast, so he should be the perfect person to get the more complex questions. Thank you for all the birthday messages. We didn't mean to do the stream on my birthday. Actually, it was supposed to be last Friday, right?
Yeah.
But we wanted to get a couple details in before we do this, and we just like to do the streams on Friday, as most of you know, I assume. So yeah, I suppose
Do we
should
show what we did?
should we get into it
Yeah.
right away? All right. So. Here's the video game. All right. So I suppose the first thing is that the speedrunning Relic is something that kind of breaks the meta, right? It kind of breaks the game, and so we wanted access to it to be kind of exclusive for those in the know, right? So if you're here today, you are in the know. I just want to say as well before we begin, a big shout out again to Dream Hazard, who has been. For years at this point, a good friend and always willing to help, and she basically put together, just everyone just getting the conversation going. She was in DM with Fro and I to kind of sort of get the ball rolling. And so we're here because we wanted to develop the speedrunning Relic by taking in the feedback from speedrunners, their wants and their needs. And so today what we're showing is in the spirit of getting more feedback so that we can do more iterations. Okay, this one is yours. So I suppose from there, those of you who were in the conversation, the Speedrun Relic channel that we put together, feel free to ask questions directly there. We'll do our best to track. And also, since we have probably a few people today, I was given a very good advice, which is please at our username on Twitch if you have a question. So because the chat kind of goes on, and I'm notoriously terrible at following the chat. So please just, if you don't mind highlighting your questions, that will help make sure that we get to them. So about this access being a little bit exclusive, I think you worked with Eric on a little hidden something.
Yeah.
So we're not going to give you the actual code, right? But you need to punch in a code at the title screen to access the hidden stuff, which is basically the Speedrun Relic. Can you? So we have two controllers today, and they kind of like both work. This is kind of like a special thing where we both get to control the character at the same time. So we're going to try not to conflict, but both of us will be wanting to show some stuff. So you can do the code.
Yeah, and you will have a little audio cue.
All right. So what you just did basically unlocked the Speedrun Relic, right?
Yeah, it unlocks a bunch of relics.
Right. It basically unlocks all of them, right?
Yeah, all of them.
Which was the idea, because we know if you're if you're doing an event or something, maybe you don't have your own computer. So this code gives you access to every single relic in the game
on your
in one shot.
Yeah, it gives it to you for your next new game.
Right.
Not all your games because you have currently.
But that's right. So if you do the code and then load another game, you have whatever you had on that site, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the new flow from here, if you do, if you hit new game, this has nothing to do with just the Speedrun Relic. That's something that we'll be doing, that will be there for everyone. Is that now when you start a new game, obviously you know the usual flow. We did a bit of an update here. It's also in the spirit of speedrun to be clear on when the timer starts, right? So you're first going to pick your character. and then instead of basically, usually that's where the game would start, right? But now instead you get to pick the relics that you want to have on or off for your run, because you know if you want to play Tactician's Medal, for example, right? Well, you get to put this on before you start, and that's also going to give you. Well, I guess we'll see this thing later. So.
Yeah.
By the way, spoilers. Okay, this is a full spoiler stream. I should have mentioned this. If you're not in the loop or in the know or you don't want any spoilers, everything is here because we need to discuss all the specifics. Okay, so this is the new flow. So obviously we've got. Well, you know them, right? So we.
There's a couple of new ones that you might have spot.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know about this one. Yeah, we wanted the secret code to also give something to players who don't really care for speedrun. So if you want to tell your friends how to carry more items in combat, maybe you can. But yeah, anyway, that's for you to find out. So we have a Solstice Doctorate, which allows the skip function for credits, I suppose. We also have, as some of you heard, a Solstice Diploma, which will allow us to skip the flashback, the childhood flashback at the campfire on the mountain trail. But the one we want to look at today is Mark of the Speedrunner. We thought it was a pretty cool name. Another idea was Earring of the Estonian King, but then I was like, only 5 people will get it. So, okay. We're going to flick this one on, and we see the timer basically appears right there in the top left. It can be toggled at any time in the default setting. That would be sort of like L1, right, the left bumper. And so once we hit confirm, you're going to see a shoe appear next to every single relic. Okay, that shoe is your proof that essentially you haven't touched any of the relics, right? So when you get to the end credits, you will see all of them with the shoe present. You know, so that's kind of like your receipt, right? So now we have the timer. So obviously you can skip the text like we used to by holding 2 keys, but
yeah, there is something that we weren't sure we're unable to put that in there, but
well, I think we thought we wouldn't be able to do it, right? And because we realized there would be a lot of manual work, and then Fro was like, "Now we want this to be great, so I'll just do it." So you actually can now hold to skip every single cutscene in the game. You're not seeing it right now because I'm just going to give you the full game view, right? So that we're not there anymore. So you'll be able to see at the bottom right. Can you see that? So it's your classic like you hold to skip. So if you hold all the way, it lets you skip, and there is actually no exception. Every single cutscene in the game. So we're expecting to find some bugs come of that because. It's a lot of use cases, okay? Because our cutscenes, they change the code and some flags in real time, right? And we're also leaving up to you all to figure out, is this one better to just like hold to pass the text faster or skip the cutscene?
Yeah, exactly. The one you just saw, it's probably better to just mash
right.
A because the skip takes like 2 seconds to start.
And also, not everything is a cutscene, right? So, for example, here, just entering that volume, that's not something you can skip.
Yeah,
that's
it's
just
only the
prompt,
the story cutscenes that has dialogues in it mostly. We might have forgot a few, but most of them should be skippable.
Right. So, how was it? Like, it took a lot, right?
Yeah. Well, at first we had to. I was speaking with Sklut, and we. After a couple of ideas, we figured out a way where we could have like the skip everywhere with not too many works, but we still had to. With Carl, we had to go in every cutscenes, enabling the feature and making sure that it works, doing a lot of tests. So hopefully everything works perfectly, but yeah, we might have missed some spots. Right.
So again, with the left bumper, you can, like, if you don't like to have the timer, you know, you can flick it on or off. And if we look at oh yeah, we can't open the menu yet. We'll look at the shoe later. So yeah, since we have the Solstice Diploma, we should get the prompt.
Yeah, you can now skip the old Zenith Academy prologue.
So there were some cutscenes, right, that demanded some sort of like manual changes in the logic tree and everything to be able to enable the skip. Yeah.
Not a lot of them though. So that was but there's a couple of one we had to rework to make that work.
So far, this is a bad speedrun attempt. Yeah, this isn't a speedrun attempt. We're just walking through the features, right? So after the conversation here, we'll see that we have the relic for the Solstice Diploma. So we say we'd like to skip the prologue. So obviously we're going to go ahead and say yes. And as you can see your receipt. During the loading, that's only with the speedrun relic. On we show the relics that you have for your current run. So anyone like tuning in, right, they know what you're attempting. Are you Artful Gambit? Are you... So we get a little bit of flavor here to kind of give a one-sentence summary of what happened. And then, then the game picks up right after right at the... well, you know where this is, right? So we're about to begin the Forbidden Cavern. So this is where we felt was the first, like, real dungeon of the game. And another thing, too, if maybe you want to ask, is... so what we did with XP, because usually you level up on Word, right? And we chose... all of that is open to feedback, by the way, but we wanted to cap XP basically at 99%, because usually you'd make your first choice, at the Solstice dungeon, the Zenith dungeon boss. So instead, your first fight will be your first level up there. So if we look at the relics, you see that the shoe is there everywhere. And if we choose, we actually want to use this, well, then we lost the shoe, okay? So...
yeah, the shoe is only there
until you touch it.
Yeah, and it's the state when you start a new game. So if you load a previous game, there will be no shoes. But when you start a new game, all the shoes get locked, and then it's locked there until you toggled it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
right. And so from here we're just going through the dungeon. Any notes, Fro, on... I know you did something for loadings as well, right?
Yeah, the loadings are... you might notice that when we load, the timer will pause. So the loading are removed from the timer. And there's also... when you skip a cutscene, sometimes it's not always the same time that it takes to skip a cutscene, depending on the
might need to process more.
Yeah, exactly. So these are paused too. So when we skip a cutscene, when we load a new scene, the timer is supposed to be sure that it's more accurate on all platforms.
Right. So basically that means, like, if, for example, you could assume if you're playing on PC, loading is faster than if you're playing on Switch. So basically the timer will be pausing during the loading, so that no matter what platform you're playing on, should be the same time of your active gameplay there. Sorry, I think I missed. Secret Abyss. I understand the reasoning for the secret code, but having access to the relics could also be an accessibility option. Please consider having the option to enable the relics for NG and the other options menu. Oh yeah. So all the relics. So to be clear, the new screen that lets you turn relics on or off is always there for everyone. The code is only to also give you the speedrun relic. Simply because it's not something we want more casual players to stumble upon and then not really be clear. Like everyone can skip cutscenes, everyone can do everything. It's just that adding a timer and everything is a more deliberate choice, kind of like entering developer mode on your phone. You need to do something weird.
Yes, it does give the tomato clubs. That's the question. Yeah, the intro. If you skip the intro, you get everything that you should have got.
Yeah.
I wanted to say another thing, but I forgot it. But yeah, for the start, the code, we also wanted to have a way to. So if you go like to a speedrun marathon or something, you don't have to mess with saves and stuff like that. So that's why we added the code, and it gives all the relics. So that way, if you have no save, you can just input the code and then start your speedrun.
Yeah, that's why it gives all of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why it's at the title screen.
timer continue through the entire playthrough. Is there a way to bring it back to 0 in case people want to speedrun single dungeons or
Yeah.
something? We probably could do something like this. I'm late here, all of the relic work.
No, the timer. No, it works actually. You can. That's why we did it this way. If you toggle the speedrun relic while in play mode, it resets the timer. So that way you can, like an idea, if you want to like speedrun, I don't know, a dungeon or something, you can just go in the relic menu.
Oh, you mean just doing this, right?
Yeah. Put it off and on, and it will reset.
Was that
the
your
timer.
question? I think I didn't understand the question, but yeah, you can reset it at will. If that was the question. In case people want to speedrun single dungeons. Oh, yeah. You just flick it on and off, and you're clear.
And then the shoe can tell you if the player did reset it or not, if you want to review the times and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Dweller of Torment dungeon percent. Ugh. Does this build of the game also include the balancing changes? Please, no. So we're going to have. So this is like Fro worked in a separate branch to really single out just the speedrunning relic, because we don't want a mix and match of feedback on a bunch of things. So it's really focused, like, blinders on, and this is for speedrun relic only, which we're giving you the passcode at the end of the stream. Obviously you need to have the game on Steam, but you can play with this like whenever we're done in, like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes or something.
I don't know if you want to, like, there's if you want to talk about the playtest.
Sure.
A few couple things to know is that it shouldn't override your main game saves.
Mm-hmm.
But just as a caution, maybe back up them to be sure that you don't lose them. But it used new different file names for the playtest.
Right.
And also the saves from the playtest won't be compatible with the main game because they're new items and new stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sure that eventually when this goes through the when we are done with feedback and everything, once it goes to live eventually, the save from the playtest won't be working live at that moment too. So it's not a place to start your first playthrough. But yeah.
And I guess and to be more clear on the patches, we're going to have one big update where it's going to include the speedrun relic, the balancing changes, and also the co-op mode. So all of that is like a single, like, thick, update. So from here, do we, like, because I'm seeing this other save here, and I know Fro did another pretty cool technical feat of strength here. Do we want to go and look at that now?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So back to title.
Oh, do you want to show the pause timer option? That's something we discussed with
right.
on the speedrun channel. Like, we weren't sure what to do with do we allow the pause or not. We know that the runs allow a 30 minutes break. So what we chose to do, and it's up. You can give the feedback on that if you don't like it. But it's that on the pause menu you have a new option, pause timer, and if you press this, it starts your pause timer and it pauses the timer. And if you press any button, it restarts the timer. So you don't you cannot cheat the timer with that. It's just you do pause timer and then.
And it's cumulative, right? So, like, if, as you can see, like, now we're at 17 seconds. So if I start playing again for a while and then I use the pause timer, it starts where it left off. So and what's the other? And again, we just, people will play with it, and whatever you need is what we'll address. But so it was kind of like a first pass on, I guess, our understanding of what the wishes were. But isn't there a thing as well about, like, reloading another file that has the speedrun relic with the timers somewhere and then?
Yeah, so right now, because we know that some strats require you to return to the title screen. So if you return to the title screen, the timer will stay up, will pause during the loading, but it will stay up. And then if you reload the save, right now what it does is that it takes the if you load the save that this timer, that the speedrunning relic was enabled, it would take the highest time. So if your current time is higher than the time from the save, it will take the higher of the two. So that's how we did it right now, but we're open to feedback on that as well if you have idea. But we wanted to have a way to allow this strat.
Sorry, so if I have another save,
yeah,
I'm like 1 hour in and I'm now playing, I'm at 30 minutes and I load that other one.
Your timer will go to 1 hour.
And if it's the other way around?
Yeah, the normal
It's the
way,
higher of the two always.
Yeah, it's the higher of the two,
Okay.
and like the normal way is you will reload your current save, so it will just keep the timer as is because it's higher than when you saved last. But if you choose another save, it will take the higher of the two.
Right. Cool. And so from there, so we don't have something where like maybe you actually do want to reload your timer because maybe you're practicing like a section?
Yeah, right.
But that
now
would be something that you do by resetting it. So you can just go from 0 and
yeah,
time
you can
yourself
restart
for
the
that,
relic or
for that bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so are we looking for feedback in general on the usability of everything or also like are we expecting any bugs? Because we did do some QA internally, and it feels like we had a pretty good sense of what was needed to get it to work. But what's our confidence level here on what's the level of beta that we're throwing people into now?
I think it should be pretty stable. The only thing that could happen, and if you find that, please let us know, is that we've mostly tested by skipping the cutscene at the start of the cutscene, and I think that for speedrunning, that's what most people will do. But yeah, if you find a way or if you find a cutscene that when you skip it, it takes more than like 5 seconds or like it takes longer than expected, let us know because we might have to do some tweaks there to fix that.
And so technically what happens, because our cutscenes, they run in real time, right? And part of the reason why we thought we wouldn't be able to do a skip is that we need every action to actually execute so that it's properly flagging everything, like you've already talked to this, you already got this item, and instead of having to implement at the end of every cutscene like just a dump of everything that needed to happen. So it's playing on fast forward, so it still executes all the code, right?
It's playing mostly the cutscene on 1 or 2 5 frames. It's trying to play it as fast as possible.
Which is why some of them will take longer to execute, just from the fact that
from a couple of frames.
It's a lengthier one, right?
Yeah, because sometimes we have cutscenes that have like wait times, and to be sure that everything executes properly, we need to wait a frame when this happens. So some could take more frames than other to skips because of that, but it shouldn't take more than a second or 2. So if it goes higher than that, just let us know and we'll figure out why.
Right.
It's probably we have something in there, one of the node in the graph that is trying to do some that is maybe not skippable.
Right.
Yeah.
So to be clear, doing the beta on Steam, it's just easier for us to just kind of release a patch, as a lot of you know. So we'll be doing that until we feel like it's in a state where it's ready, and then we'll make sure to branch that into the main trunk for the game, and then whenever we have everything all set, with the co-op mode and also the balancing update, then we'll do the big update, and it will go out obviously to all platforms. The Speedrun Relic won't be a PC only thing. Sorry, did I skip some questions here? Do we get the in Messenger as well? No.
Do we get the timer and cutscene skips in Messenger? No. If you come back to title menu during a run, then resume the game, is the timer gonna stop at some point? No, it's not gonna stop, except if you reload the game that the speedrunner relic is not enabled. The timer will just go away. But yeah, if you reload the save with the speedrun mode enabled, the bigger of the 2 timer will be taken in for now.
Right. TLDR is a bit, we don't really do that. I'm sorry, Farklunge, but basically we're adding a speedrunning relic to the game. It's got a bunch of functionalities, and we're going through them. We're keeping it short, so it should be a pretty condensed information dump. So just feel free to catch the VOD. It will be available. All right. So
do we go to the?
So we just want to show the last the final magic trick that happened.
All right, so as you can see right now, the timer is still running, but we'll load a save that doesn't have the speedrun relic enabled. So you'll see it will disable the timer once the save is loaded right there. All right, so the last little tricks we wanted to show is that we re-enabled the pop jumping. So it's only working when you have the relic on. So if right now I try to do it, I cannot go into order to do the trick. But if I go in relics and I enable the speedrunner relic, and then I try it, oh, I missed it. Then you can. I don't know if I'll be able to pull this off because I'm not a speedrunner. But let's try it. I think I failed it already. I'll retry another time. Just
So
to see.
this is very niche, only for those who are in the know. But basically, this is our last gift with this relic.
And I'm not able to do it live.
Is basically we promise it works. Okay, we're not speedrunners, but so we'll let you all have at it. But essentially, what we did was we maintained so Fro did everything we needed to do to kind of branch all the use cases in the motion code and the gameplay code, so that while the relic is
Oh,
on,
I did it a little. You saw jumping.
Ooh, yeah, you stepped up a little bit, yeah. So while the relic is enabled, the game will behave exactly like before we patched out this issue, and which again, you all know our philosophy, right? Is when speedrunners find an exploit, we'll always, it's your win, and we'll own it and we'll let you have it, unless it is likely to hinder the casual experience. And in this case, we judged that it could cause issues for casual players. But yeah, so that's why it took us a while to come up with the relic. We wanted to make sure we have everything in there. So yeah, that's pretty much it, I think. I don't know if there's anything else we want to mention for now. It's really all about, you can now just get the code for the Steam branch. If you don't know how this works, you're on Steam, you need to have the game, obviously. In the properties of the game, there's a beta section in the properties, and you need to punch in a passcode and then apply it, which will give you access to that branch. And from there, in your properties, you can choose, do you want to be on the main branch, the release version of the game, or one of the betas. So with the passcode that will be on the end slate of this stream, you will have, it's all in lower caps, you will have the code that you need to punch in to, and you can, it's already live. It's actually what we're playing from Steam at the moment, from that branch that we're giving you all access to.
Maybe
so we'll see if there's a, go ahead.
Yeah, maybe one last thing is that you'll be able to use ults in speedruns.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
because we can now
skip the cinematic of these two. Yeah.
So to be clear, the skip function for cutscenes also works for ultimates. Yeah. Yes, ults are now viable. So there was one thing left. Actually, you're right. See, it just keeps on giving. Fro is rocking the Just Shapes and Beat shirt, which Berserk, I don't know if you knew, but we're in the same building. They're on the 3rd floor, and we're 2 floors below. So it's a pretty cool indie building we got going on. So yeah, we'll from there we'll let you go at it, unless we'll hang here for like maybe a minute or two in case there are some questions that we should be getting to. But I think should have been fairly comprehensive, and you're probably all just excited to get the code. All right.
And also, if
today is my son's 5th birthday. Well, that's a good birthday your son has. Happy birthday to your son. Thanks for the update, of course. C'est Jack. Ah, c'est Jack. C'est Learson, j'avais pas vu. Okay. Salut, Jack.
Salut, Jack.
So for reference, the person who said nice shirt is actually from Berserk. So I guess in case you wonder where your own studio was, it's just above us. Québécois language when it's we talked about this briefly yesterday. It's coming along. There's less than 80,000 words left. I try to do 100 lines a day. I'm keeping at it, but I'm going as slow as I need to go for it to be as good as it can be. So it will be ready when it's ready. The metric is for it to be good. Thank you for the showcase. Sure. Regarding the glitches, there are a few more that was patched in this current patch, like Infinite Money glitch and Early Beast. Early Beast is a thing. Is it possible to get them back as well? It's not impossible. Let's talk about that in more detail. Because the thing with the pop jumping is that it's just on or off while the relic is, but something like an unlock in the game could be like if you turn it off again after, does it like it could cause more issues. We will look into anything you want us to. Is the big update making it to physical cards for Kickstarter? No, the physical copies for the game actually have already printed. The cards are printed. We sent the ROM over in, was it in October?
End of year.
End of year, right.
Yeah.
Oh, October was the Japanese one, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, end of year. So it's already all locked in. It passed lot check months ago. Nothing will be in there. DLC, same thing. Any time estimates for the big update? No, unfortunately, no. Our only metric is quality, so it takes time. We don't have a due date for things. We just want it to feel right because we think of the game, over 5 years or 10 years, and we just want it to really feel right. We don't want something that keeps changing. We want very deliberate changes, and for people to be able to track, what's been happening. So, all right. Is there a way to view or confirm the final runtime at the ending of the game? Yes. When you get to the credits, you will see basically the timer appearing to confirm your time. It's glowing. It's silver for the first ending and gold for the second ending. And it also shows you the shoe on your relic so that you can tell like, here's my receipt, right, for my run. All right. Will there be new pirate version music in DLC? Have you not seen my bingo card? I don't know if you're in the spoiler channel, but I made my own bingo card yesterday of my own guesses for the DLC. But yeah, there's too many messages. I'm not gonna be able to find it. But yeah, anyway, it might be fun to see more pirate music. I suppose we'll have to play it and see. Okay, I think that's it for us. Anything else you want to add, Flo, before we head out?
I think that's all. If you have any feedbacks, there's the Speedrun Relic channel where you can send them and we'll look at them.
Yeah, that sounds great. Cool. So coming up next is the end slate. Your passcode will be there. Please go and play this if you want. Thank you all for your attendance today. It was great to see the chat and the energy. And we hope you have the most wonderful rest of your day and weekend. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.